I believe that in an AI world where we have magical technologies all around us, identifying and fulfilling your purpose is of paramount importance. So in your role as chaplain, how do you help people identify their purpose or stay on the track of following their purpose?
Yeah, I think those two elements are really important. One, discerning what that purpose is. And that's often done in small groups while we're studying and praying together. And we have different diagnostic tests that can further refine, what is it that, someone is good at? Like we were saying about inclinations, what are you inclined? What is it that you have a passion about? And then, bringing that into what is that purpose? And I think, in earlier generations, someone would start a career and that they would do that career for, 40, 50, 60 years. I think today people, they're doing something for 10 years maybe. And then, then they go on a different path. It may not be a completely different path, but it's a turn in the road, right? A lot of our young service members are like that. They'll start out one way enlisted, and then they'll become an officer or a warrant officer, or they'll go into special operations, or they'll go into more of a niche intelligence or something like that. So I think, those kind of opportunities today where, people can start in the military and then further refine that. And how I help that and how chaplains help that is, through that study and through that small group and praying together and discerning, what is that path. And then, you mentioned about staying on point and on focus. On my shelf here, I've got a compass, and I put it on my shelf there because keeping on azimuth, making sure you're in the direction that you want to be going, you should be going. And that's another role that we have as chaplains. We help people stay on that azimuth, on that direction, because even if you get off 1 degree off over time, you can be miles off your point. And when it happens gradually like that, you don't really notice until you're completely lost, and then it's so much harder to get back on track. So that's really, again, I think the importance of the small group, staying accountable to one another. And that's whether it's a chaplain, a young soldier, an old soldier. Iron sharpens iron. We have to be in accountability relationships. Sometimes too in the military, the saying, what happens TDY, what happens on temporary duty, stays on temporary duty. But we all really know that that's not true. That's not true. So on deployments, they'll say fit or focused, fit or fat, right? It's you're either getting fit and strong and you're building and developing, or you're just letting everything go, and that can be externally, like gaining weight, or it can be other bad corrosive behaviors that just kind of eat away at the inside of a person, that can be very destructive to, career and relationships and things like that. So yeah, staying on point, staying on azimuth, is so important.
And I think to my own experiences where I have a trusted advisor helping me identify what I'm doing is aligned with my purpose. And sometimes I don't see it myself. And I wonder if you have experienced that in your work.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And we call it spiritual direction. on the secular or civilian side, may call it coaching or mentoring or an advisor, consultant, spiritual director is, listening and affirming or holding accountable to all of those things. So, yeah, I think, we all, from time to time, we need to hear somebody say, hey, you're on the right path. I see that purpose being fulfilled in your life, that affirmation and encouragement.
When you're working with leaders, how can you help them stay aligned with their purpose when they're faced with challenges or setbacks?
Military leaders are the ones that are in command. They carry so much responsibility. Our combatant commander here, 4-star Marine general, with responsibility of the continent of Africa and our military mission there, in conjunction with, we take a 3D approach with diplomacy and U.S. aid. It's so much responsibility to carry the weight of the protection of our forces that are arrayed, the decisions that are made, things that are spoken or not spoken can really mean people living or dying. So those kinds of responsibilities for military leaders is quite significant. Different, from many corporations on the business side of things. So as a chaplain, to be able to support the commander and their family too, and their team is a real honor to come alongside. There's a story in the Bible about Aaron and Hur coming beside Moses, who in the battle, raises his hands. And when he raises his hands, they're winning the battle, but his arms become tired. So his two friends come alongside him and, help to hold him up. And in a similar way as chaplains, we're kind of behind the scenes providing that spiritual support to our command, that safe place for command and their family and their team to be able to talk with total confidentiality. The difference with chaplains is that we have total confidentiality. So what's said to us is it doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go in a file. It doesn't go into other conversations. And I think that's really important because of the weight, the burden of command that they carry. They need a place to be able to have their own space to talk to someone. I
just want to shift gears to organizational culture, and it might seem really obvious in the military why cultivating a sense of purpose is important in forming the organization's culture and productivity. But I want to ask you, how is this sense of purpose used in the military to shape that culture?
When organizations are at their best, they're focused on their purpose. And you can see it when you walk into a place where you can tell that people are doing what they should be doing and they're enjoying it and they want to bring excellence to it. When a unit or an organization is not, if they lose that focus, you can just see it just by the affect of people. It's the difference, I think, between just doing government work and actually really knowing what it is that you're doing. So like at, United States Africa Command, we cover this huge continent. I mean, you can fit like more than 3 United States within the continent of Africa. I was just down in Djibouti, and even just to get to Djibouti, which on a map doesn't look that far, it took 24 hours of travel to get there. And so it's really, really big, and 54 countries. It's very complex, and it's such a great opportunity for us at United States Africa Command to try to bring everything of the United States to this continent, which could be the future of our world. Bring prosperity and stability. There's a verse in the prophet Jeremiah that says, "Pray for the place to which you have been sent, for in its well-being you will find yours." And so for me, when I've been down on the continent of Africa, I remember seeing this one man. He was walking by a landfill outside of the capital of Djibouti, and he was just skin and bones. I mean, there was just almost nothing to him, and just bare thread clothes that he had on. And I keep that image in my mind. That's the reason why I'm here serving in this command, to try to bring, work with our partners in Africa, work with other military chaplains and religious leaders, so that we can bring, the solutions to some of the toughest problems in the world. America is incredible. We've been so blessed. We have so many resources, and we're free. Freedom. I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. And that freedom allows people to innovate and create. And I think, even as a whole country, if we can be focused on, helping others and finding our well-being in the well-being of people around the world, that will take care of a lot of our problems in the United States.